Morning. We're going to start now. We have a quorum. Everyone will take their seats. We'll get started. Thank you. To give our invocation this morning, the chair recognizes Reverend Bill Golderer of Broad Street Ministries. He is here today as the guest of Councilman Squilla. I would ask all guests and visitors to please rise and members. Reverend, please.
Councilman Squilla, thank you for the invitation. Council President, thank you.
You're welcome.
Will you gather with me in prayer? Let us pray. God of persistent love, soother of our pain and prompter of our courage, we give you thanks today. We give you thanks for waking us up this morning. And even as we are grateful for this new day, for this fresh opportunity to be a blessing to our city, our hearts remain heavy. Holy One, we continue to mourn our great derailment tragedy. We grieve for those who perished and were harmed, even as we rejoice at the courage of our first responders who courageously answered that call. Keep us mindful today and every day that life is precious and fragile. So as we enter this chamber today, loving God, we ask that you would focus us on the important things, the essential things, the ultimate things that glorify your name and will make this city a place where all people can thrive. We gather today around real challenges, but we know you are a God of endless possibilities. And so we ask that your guidance be clear to us. Guide us so we don't squander what we have been given. Guide us to persevere through problems. Soften us to our adversaries, but harden our resolve to advocate for those who are vulnerable and innocent. Remind us all that the children, the aging, the despairing are counting on us to persist always in hope. Ignite in us anew our passion to be of service. Inspire us when we are tired or weak or worn. Grow within us a new, bold idea this day. Give us a breakthrough that carries us past cynicism. You didn't call us here to be cynical, so help us, we pray, to persevere in hope. Help us always to know that as we go through these hallways and through these streets, that you go with us, providing us everything we need to be the people this city needs us to be. Amen and amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend, for those inspiring words. Council will be at ease. Thank you. Thank you. A little quiet, please. Thank you. Before we start our session today, I would just like to take a moment to not only ask for a moment of silence for the tragic event and the victims and their families, I would also like to add a moment of silence for our colleague, Councilman Kenyatta Johnson, who lost his grandmother, very close to him, actually played a key role in raising him. So I'd just like to ask everybody for a moment of silence for those people. Thank you very much. The next order of business is the approval of the journal, and the chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, May 7th, 2015 be approved.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, May 7, 2015, stand approved. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. The journal is approved. The chair recognizes Councilman Jones for a request for leave of absence.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the majority, a leave of absence has been requested by Council Member Kenyatta Johnson.
Thank you. Leave shall be granted. Chair recognizes Councilman O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Republicans, there are no requests for leave of absence.
Chair thanks the gentleman. At this time, I would like to dispense with the regular order of business, and I would like to welcome and thank everyone who has come down today to witness your government in action. We hope that you not only find today a pleasurable day, that a knowledgeable day, so much so that you come back again. So again, thank you so much for your participation in today's ceremony. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell, who will present a resolution recognizing students from the Benjamin Comagese Elementary School after-school program. Would Principal Lisa Wilmer and those accompanying her please join the Councilwoman at the podium? And joining Councilwoman Blackwell is Councilman David O. And Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues. This is a special day because this and a resolution that succeeds it, dealing with Dr. Ira Harker and the Netter Center for Community Partnerships, are related in that they work to help this, they help to make this day possible and to create this video. We are very grateful to the principal and all the students. I hope they've arrived. They were in the subway trying to get here to see their work in action. I hope they are here and that they are pleased that we wanted to make this presentation. So, which is only about 2 minutes, folks. So we'll read the resolution and then move forward.
Please proceed, Councilwoman.
Resolution recognizing and congratulating students from Benjamin B. Comagese Elementary School after-school program on their impressive, quote, "Be a Buddy, Not a Bully," end of quote, production featured on YouTube. Whereas studies indicate that more than 500,000 students nationwide, or 17% of students beyond second grade, were bullied 2 or 3 times a month over a period of several months. And whereas bullying and violence in the city's public schools has been a persistent problem over the years, and
whereas expert reports that the incidence of bullying goes down significantly only when schools implement consistent, well-organized, long-term programs, and whereas students from Benjamin B. Comagese Elementary School in West Philadelphia created a phenomenal song and video production entitled "Be a Buddy, Not a Bully" during their after-school program, and whereas 4th grader Diamond Houston wrote the hook for the song, and 7th grader Keon Marshall wrote the verses. They give special acknowledgement to Grandmaster Flash and P. Diddy for lyrical inspiration, and
Whereas Comagese Elementary students acted and performed to the lyrics in the video, which is now on YouTube and has over 3,000 views. And whereas after the video on March 20th, 2015, the United States Secretary of Education tweeted the video clip from his social media account stating, Awesome Lyrics, and Hook by Comegys School in Philly, reminding us all to be buddies, not bullies. And whereas it is without a doubt the efforts and talents applied by these young men and women are the future leaders of our city. Phenomenal and deserved recognition, therefore be it resolved by the City Council recognizing and congratulating the students of Benjamin B. Comegys Elementary School after-school program on their impressive Be a Buddy, Not a Bully production featured on YouTube. Sponsored by Councilwoman Janie L. Blackwell, 3rd Councilmanic District, March 26, 2015. And all members of council.
We'll now have a short film.
Hey, that's my ball. It is not your ball. Hey, it's my ball. Hey. Be a buddy, not a bully. Oh, she got a new song. That sounds catchy. Be a buddy, not a bully. Be a buddy, not a bully. Be a buddy, not a bully. Not a bully, not a bully.
It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how to keep from going under. Yeah. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how to keep from going under. I said I'm tired of being bullied every single day. Every corner that I turn, it's a bully to pay. I need a break, quick, breaking pawns need to be fixed. Take a step outside my house and I'm caught in the mix. What will it end? The bully and the teasing. Picking on the kid, you don't even got a reason. They say they better than us. Oh, the lies. But won't they try somebody their own size? Laughing at us, thinking it's funny. Picking on kids at school for lunch money. That ain't the way it's supposed to be. How can one little fit separate you and me? Can't nobody take my pride. Can't nobody hold me down. Oh no, I gotta keep it moving. Yo, new school or old school, we gotta change, rearrange, use our brains to study the change. They can't hold me down, cause I'm book smart for haters who got no love, like a broke heart, never easily broken. Y'all pop tarts, only thing I bully is rappers on hip-hop charts. Lyrically, I'm a miracle to the game, cause when hip-hop died, his last words my name. Check it, I be resurrecting it every second I kick it. I be busting the records and getting rid of the wicked. Gotta make a change like a dollar bill. Sometimes I wonder why they try to keep me under.
Be a buddy, not a bully. Be a buddy, not a bully. Be a buddy, not a bully. Not a bully, not a bully. Be a buddy, not a bully. Be a buddy, not a bully. Be a buddy, not a bully. Not a bully, not a bully. Be a buddy, yeah. Be a buddy, not a bully. Wanna be a doctor, wanna be a teacher. If you keep being mean, you're gonna be neat.
And before we have council at ease, we have to have Ms. Walters for remarks. Wilmer, I'm sorry, Ms. Wilmer. And I would also like to thank the awesome interpretation. Serious moves.
She was.
All right.
Yes.
Ms. Wilmer, please give your remarks. Thank you.
Good morning, all. I just want to say thank you on behalf of the Comegys School and City Council for acknowledging our hard work. We do try every day to support our students, and I couldn't do my work without the support of so many, especially my after-school director, Daniel, and most importantly, my student, Keon. So I just want to say thank you to everybody for acknowledging us for our hard work and our efforts.
All right. Council will be at ease. Thank you so much. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilwoman Tasco, who will present a resolution recognizing George D. Gould, Esquire. With Mr. Gould and those accompanying him, please join the councilwoman at the podium.
This all your game? You got more out there? Come on over. Good morning.
Morning.
This is really a great pleasure for me to honor this gentleman, George Gould. We met many, many years ago when we were both with I was with the Philadelphia Urban Coalition and Charlie Bowser in training for this day, and George was with Community Legal Services. So his mission and the mission of Community Legal Services has to represent those who can't represent themselves and who are in need. And they've done an outstanding job. So just give CLS a big round of applause. Resolution recognizing and acknowledging George D. Gould, Esquire, winner of the 2014 Philadelphia Bar Foundation Award for his achievements over more than 4 decades of work in the field of public interest law, whereas George D. Gould is the managing attorney of the Housing and Energy Units at Community Legal Services, which he joined in 1970 as a Reginald Heber Smith Fellow. The Housing Unit provides representation in housing cases, including landlord, tenant, and public housing, while the Energy Unit provides representation as the public advocate before the Philadelphia Gas Commission and provides assistance in energy cases. He has been involved in numerous state and federal class action litigation and legislative efforts involving mortgage foreclosure prevention, public housing, landlord-tenant law, and childhood lead poisoning. And whereas Mr. Gould currently serves as a member of the Landlord-Tenant Subcommittee of the Pennsylvania Joint State Government Commission, the Pennsylvania Childhood Lead Poisoning Prevention Work Group, the lead primary prevention, the Lead Primary Prevention Task Force, and is a former member of the National Lead Task Group of the American Society for Testing and Materials, ASTM, and the National Lead-Based Paint Hazard Reduction and Financing Task Force, created by Title 10 of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1992. He also serves on the board of Regional Housing Legal Services and is a faculty member of the Pennsylvania Bar Institute, where he teaches courses and develops written material on landlord-tenant law. He is also a frequent lecturer on housing law topics at national and statewide events for legal services programs. And whereas, in addition to the 2014 Bar Foundation Award, Mr. Gould received the National Housing Law Project's David Bryson Award in 2011, was named a Pennsylvania Super Lawyer in 2009, and received the 2001 Striving Towards Excellence Award from Pennsylvania Legal Services. He has also received numerous awards from community organizations for his work in housing, and he is a contributing author of, quote, mortgage foreclosure, end of quote, in Pennsylvania consumer law. And whereas George Gould is a teacher, mentor, and inspiration to younger advocates, an excellent manager and leader, and most importantly, a brilliant advocate on behalf of thousands of vulnerable low-income persons across the country facing housing concerns. Now in his 45th year at CLS, he has steadily gained a local, statewide, and national reputation as an intelligent, creative, and strategic housing lawyer, providing leadership nationally for legal service housing practitioners. And whereas George's lifelong dedication to serving, protecting, and advocating for those in need, promoting equal access to justice, and influencing local and national policy are equal by few, if any. And whereas George has applied the same sense of passion and dedication to his personal, family, and community lives, whether it was coaching his son Peter's baseball and soccer teams, running a hot dog concession at the annual Fiddler Square Fair, or successfully completing marathons in Boston, New York City, and elsewhere. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Philadelphia that we recognize and acknowledge George D. Gould, Esquire, winner of the 2014 Philadelphia Bar Foundation Award for his achievements over more than 4 decades of work in the field of public interest law. Further resolved that an engrossed copy of this resolution be presented to George Gould as an expression of the sincere sentiments of this legislative body. It's introduced by Marion Tasco and supported by all members of City Council. George, we thank you for the many, many years of service. You've done a wonderful job, and I know the citizens you have served in Philadelphia are grateful. God bless you as you continue with the good work that you do.
And the chair recognizes Mr. Gould for remarks, and it's strange seeing you on this side of the podium. Thank you.
I am deeply honored by this resolution and greatly appreciate City Council for doing this. I have known many of the City Council members for years and have enjoyed very much the opportunity to work with you. Councilwoman Tasco and I go back to the early 70s when we worked together to get the Whitman Park development built. I am very proud of our City Council, for example, taking strong action on the sale of PGW. I also want to thank the several community group organizations that I have worked with over the years. First, the Residents Advisory Board, representing tenants of public housing and their leaders, Nellie Reynolds and Asia Coney, who is standing next to me today. We have worked together successfully on numerous issues facing public housing tenants. I also want to thank the Philadelphia Unemployment Project, John Dodds, who is also here, who we have worked successfully on programs to help homeowners facing foreclosure. One in particular is the Homeowners Emergency Mortgage Assistance Program, HEMAP, which was created in 1983. And finally, the Tenants Union Representative Network. Phil Lord is the director. Unfortunately, he can't be here. He's having a conference. But we worked closely together and were able to get this council to pass significant legislation that gave tenants important rights to tenants all across Philadelphia. Of course, I also want to thank the staff of Community Legal Services Housing and Energy Units, many who are here today and standing with me, for their invaluable support and work that they have performed over many years. And I also want to thank the administration of the program. Finally, and certainly not least, I want to thank my wife Diane and my son Peter for supporting and tolerating me over these many years. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Biddies. Thank you very much. We're going to proceed with our last presentation. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell, who presented a resolution recognizing Dr. Ira Harkavy and the Barbara and Edward Netter Center for Community Partnerships. Would Dr. Harkavy and those accompanying him please join the councilwoman at the podium? And we have Councilman Wilson Good and Councilman Ed Nilsen also joining Councilwoman Blackwell and Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Mr. President, all these leaders I work with all the time.
So all that good stuff you have out there in West Philadelphia.
We're trying to catch up with you.
All right. You're getting close.
Thank you very much. This is a resolution honoring and recognizing Dr. Ira Harkavy and the Barbara and Edward Netter Center for Community Partnerships for their dedication to community service and their significant contributions to the West Philadelphia communities. And let me note that we've worked with Dr. Harkavy from the time this was created until now. We're both young, but we've been around a while. And it is certainly an honor, and these few words cannot express. Dave, come up here, please. Dave Glancy, you have to join us. And these few words cannot express the work he's done with the West Philadelphia Corporation during the Lucian Blackwell days, Turner School, and so many experiences that we've shared together. I look back, Glenn, and certainly Corey Bowman, to make sure you all are here. Before I begin, no, Blondell, you're next, so you can make your remarks then. Whereas Dr. Ira Harkavy is Associate Vice President and Founding Director of the Barbara and Edward Netter Center for Community Partnerships at the University of Pennsylvania, and whereas as Director of the Netter Center since 1992, Dr. Harkavy has helped to develop academically based community service courses as well as participatory action research projects that involve creating university-assisted community schools in Penn's local community of West Philadelphia. And before I turn it over to Blondell, you'll note the President's booklet he has on school-based services includes one of the schools, SARE, and that program is another Dr. Harkavy program, as well as many in West Philadelphia. And these are some of the solutions we need, this level of participation to make schools better. Thank you.
I wish to add my own personal congratulations in that I worked with Dr. Harkavy in the late 80s, early 90s there in West Philadelphia when I was serving as the Executive Director of the West Philadelphia Partnership. He was a leader in understanding that when the local community does well, universities do better. And the universities really have a responsibility and an obligation to be anchored and entrenched in the delivery of services to the community where it sits. Dr. Harkavy was a leader in that way. Whereas the Barbara and Edward Netter Center for Community Partnerships is Penn's primary vehicle for organizing community service initiatives to solve complex social issues that impact the quality of lives of Philadelphia residents, particularly those residing in West and Southwest Philadelphia. And whereas the Netter Center, which is housed in the Office of Government and Community Affairs, works to improve the internal coordination and collaboration of all university-wide community service programs, develops partnerships with the university and the community, and strengthens networks of institutions of higher education committed to the engagement with their local communities. And
whereas through the Netter Center, the university currently engages in academically based community service, direct traditional service, and community development. whereas approximately 200 courses from a wide range of disciplines in Penn schools have been developed to link Penn students to work in the community. And whereas the Barbara and Edward Netter Center for Community Partnerships has won numerous awards, honors, and distinctions during its tenure at the University of Pennsylvania.
And whereas Penn was among 5 higher education institutions that received the Presidential Award, the highest federal recognition a college or university can receive for its commitment to the community service. Penn won in the category of summer learning, and whereas the Barbara and Edward Netter Center for Community Partnerships will be celebrating the 23rd anniversary in July of 2015, and therefore, be it resolved that the Council of City of Philadelphia honors and recognizes Dr. Ira Harkavy and the Barbara and Edward Netter Center for Community Partnerships and their dedication to community service and their significant contributions in West Philadelphia communities. Further resolved?
Further resolved that a gross copy of this resolution be presented to Dr. Ira Harkavy and the Netter Center for a profound expression of this Council's appreciation. Introduced by Jenny L. Blackwell and supported by all members of Council.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Dr. Harkavy for remarks.
Thank you. First, I want to thank Councilwoman Blackwell, who has been a dear friend and colleague for many, many years, for introducing this resolution, to my dear friends on Council and the good work that they do, and for the President of Council and his leadership. This is a really distinct and terrific honor for me and for my colleagues at the Netter Center. This award really is not an award about the work I do, but as we heard today, it's about the work of the Netter Center. It's about the work of my colleagues who are on this podium with me, who've done extraordinary work. But it's more than that. It really is an award for a partnership. It's an award for people who work together. It's an award that is given to not just the Netter Center, but to other members in the podium. And one gentleman who's taking pictures, members of our community board, who is central to our work and have played leading roles, and they're represented up here. It's also partners with the school that we partner with, such as Comegys and Principal Wilmer, and the wonderful work that we do with you and learning from you and your students and the teachers. And it is a partnership precisely with those students and teachers. It's also a partnership with my other colleagues at the university who are up here with me today, who are part of the work we do. And it is a partnership then of multiple groups that work together for the betterment of the children and the communities of West Philadelphia and the city of Philadelphia. This work is mutually beneficial. It helps make Penn a better institution. It helps make schools function better. It helps Penn students learn. It helps students in the community learn. It helps government more effectively, and it helps our city make greater advances. Recent events painfully make us all clearly understand that the problems of the city, poverty, unemployment, inadequate schooling, poor health care, insufficient social services, those problems are the most pressing and significant problems of our time. They've been that way for a long time, but the past months have made it crystal clear to everyone in this society that these are the issues of our future. These are the issues that we must work on, and these are the problems that together we must solve. It is crucial that the kind of work that the Netter Center does, in partnership with this city, with this council, with the community, with the schools, that kind of work is crucial to solving those problems. Urban universities and their communities working together with government are essential to resolving and solving those problems and assuring that the democratic promise of America is realized by each and every American. I thank you for this award. I'm humbled by this award, and I look forward to working with all of you together now and into the future. Thank you very much. If I may, I'm going to introduce my colleagues. If Councilwoman Blackwell said it was okay, so I'm going to do that. David Glancy, my colleague at the University of Pennsylvania. Rita Hodges, who is Assistant Director of the Netter Center. Isabel Mapp, who is Associate Director of the Netter Center, Linda Satchel, one of the leading staff members of the Netter Center, Joanne Weeks, Associate Director of the Netter Center, who handles our adaptation and replication projects, Jenny Bay, who is a former student of mine, is in charge of a lot of work that we do, including evaluation work. Ken Woodson, a member of the community board, and as we know, of the Philadelphia Zoo, plays a crucial role. Dan Marin has already been introduced for his terrific work at the Comegee School and helped do that video. Corey Bowman, Associate Director of the Netter Center. Glenn Bryant, also of the University of Pennsylvania, who along with Dave are two of our closest colleagues. And James Brown, also a board member of the Netter Center, and this was the hardest thing I've done in years, was to remember everyone's name and not make a mistake. So thank you all very much.
Council, be at ease. Good stuff.
The next order of business is communications. The chair requests that the Sergeant of Arms delivers messages from the mayor to the chief clerk. Chief clerk will read the messages from the mayor.
To the President and members of the Council of the City of Philadelphia, pursuant to Sections 4604 and 2307 of the Home Rule Charter, I am today transmitting to the Council the recommendation of the City Planning Commission on the following bill, Bill Number 150353. And I am submitting herewith for the consideration of your honorable body an ordinance authorizing the Public Property Commissioner to convey to the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development all or part of a parcel of land bounded by West Westmoreland Street, North Hope Street, West Ontario Street, and North Front Street for further conveyance. And an ordinance authorizing the Public Property Commissioner to accept title from Natural Lands Trust, Inc., to a certain approximately 6-acre parcel of land known as 7900 Cherokee Street or Lane, subject to a conservation agreement granted by the Natural Land Trust, Inc. to Wissahickon Valley Watershed Association and incorporating the parcel into Wissahickon Valley Park. And an ordinance authorizing the Parks and Recreation Commissioner to enter into a license agreement with the Zoological Society of Philadelphia to continue licensing to the Zoological Society certain land and improvements known as the 38th Street Lot, Zoological Drive, and Sedgley Drive parking area. And an ordinance authorizing the Director of Housing on behalf of the city to file applications with the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for a community development block grant to participate in the Home Investment Partnership Program and the Emergency Solutions Grant Program, and for a Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS grant, and to file applications with the Commonwealth to obtain grants under the Act of April 12, 1956, as amended, to prevent and eliminate blight, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you. Those messages will be printed in the Journal. The Chief Clerk will please read any other communications in his possession.
I have none, Mr. President.
Thank you. Next is the introduction of resolutions and bills. The chair recognizes Councilman O'Brien. No, excuse me, Chair recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell.
Well, I thank you. I think B is before O. No, that was a joke. Thank you. Today I introduce 2 bills and 2 non-privileged resolutions.
Chair thanks the lady.
An ordinance authorizing the Parks and Recreation Commissioner to enter into a license agreement with the Zoological Society of Philadelphia to continue licensing to the Zoological Society certain land and improvements known as the 38th Street Lot, Zoological Drive, and the Sedgley Drive parking area.
That bill will be placed in the appropriate committee.
And an ordinance authorizing the Director of Housing on behalf of the city to file applications with the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for a community development block grant to participate in the Home Investment Partnership Program and the Emergency Solutions Grant Program, and for a Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS grant, and to file applications with the Commonwealth to obtain grants under the Act of April 12, 1956, as amended, to prevent and eliminate blight.
That bill will also be placed in the appropriate committee.
And a non-privileged resolution, also naming Civic Center Boulevard to Raymond G. Perlman Way.
That bill will be placed on next week's final passage calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority without consideration deeds conveying conditional fees, simple title to city-owned lots of pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon, situated in the 3rd, 6th, 44th, 51st, and 60th wards of the city of Philadelphia.
That resolution will also be placed on next week's final passage calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of Council President Clark, I offer 1 bill.
An ordinance authorizing Roland Cassis to install, own, and maintain an open-air sidewalk cafe at 816 North 4th Street.
That bill will be placed in the appropriate committee. Is that it? Chair recognizes Councilman Heenan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no bills or resolutions today.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Tasco.
Mr. Chairman, I offer 1 bill.
Thank you. An ordinance amending Section 9213 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Farmers Markets by adding as a permissible location the north side of West Tabor Road from North Park Avenue to North 13th Street.
That bill will be referred to the appropriate committee. Chair recognizes now Councilwoman Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have 1 bill.
An ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to convey to the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development all or part of a parcel of land bounded by West Westmoreland Street, North Hope Street, West Ontario Street, and North Front Street for further conveyance.
That bill will be referred to the appropriate committee. The chair now recognizes Councilman Nielsen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no bills or resolutions.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair now recognizes Councilman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no bills or resolutions.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of Councilman Kenyatta Johnson, I will introduce one bill and one resolution.
An ordinance providing for the submission of the qualified electors of the City of Philadelphia of an amendment to Article 8, Chapter 5 of the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter entitled Referenda Approved by the Voters by adding a new section providing that the citizens of Philadelphia call upon the council, the mayor, the Pennsylvania General Assembly, and the governor to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Okay. That bill will refer to the appropriate committee.
And a non-privileged resolution proposing an amendment to Article 8, Chapter 5 of the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter entitled Referenda Approved by the Voters by adding a new section providing that the citizens of Philadelphia call upon the council, the mayor, the Pennsylvania General Assembly, and the governor to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
That resolution will be referred to the appropriate committee. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Majority Leader. I offer one bill on your behalf and one bill on behalf of President Clark.
Chair thanks the lady.
An ordinance authorizing the transfer and appropriations for fiscal year 2016 within the general fund from the Department of Human Services, Prisons, to the Office of Housing and Community Development to support landscaping and lot cleaning jobs in the Philadelphia Reentry Employment Program for returning citizens.
That bill will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And an ordinance amending Section 91306 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Special Inspection Agencies and Special Inspectors, and subsection A 902 entitled Building, Fuel, Gas, and Mechanical Code Fees, to further provide for the registration of special inspection agencies and special inspectors, qualifications for such registrations, and duties of such agencies and inspectors.
Thank you. That bill will be referred to the appropriate committee. The chair recognizes Councilman O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no bills or resolutions.
Thank you, Councilman. The chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one bill and one non-privileged resolution.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
An ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Green Street, 2nd Street, Spring Garden Street, and 3rd Street.
That bill will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority without consideration deeds conveying conditional fee simple title to city-owned lots and pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon situated in the 1st and 31st wards of the city of Philadelphia.
And that resolution will be on next week's final passage calendar. The chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I offer two bills.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
An ordinance amending Title 11 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Streets by adding a new section establishing requirements for block parties and non-block party events, providing for permit fee refunds under specified circumstances, and adding definitions.
That bill will be referred to committee.
And an ordinance authorizing the Public Property Commissioner on behalf of the city to accept title from Natural Lands Trust, Inc. to a certain approximately 6-acre parcel of land known as 7900 Cherokee Street or land, subject to a conservation agreement granted by the Natural Land Trust, Inc. to Wissahickon Valley Watershed Association and incorporating the parcel into the Wissahickon Valley Park.
That bill will also be referred to committee. And the chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you, Mr. President. I offer two privileged resolutions, one co-sponsored by Councilwoman Maria Quinones-Sanchez and Mark Squilla, and the other co-sponsored by Councilman Mark Squilla. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
A privileged resolution recognizing and honoring that the 2015 Philippine Independence Week celebration will be from June 6th to June 20th.
And resolution will be on this week's final passage calendar.
and a privileged resolution remembering and honoring the men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice while serving in the U.S. military service in observance of Memorial Day 2015 in Philadelphia.
And that'll be on this week's final passes calendar. And that concludes our introduction of bills and resolutions. Our next order of business is reports from committee, and the chair recognizes Councilman Heenan for a report from the Committee of Public Property and Public Works.
Thank you, Council President. The Committee of Public Property and Public Works reports 5 bills with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read that report.
To the President and members of the Council of the City of Philadelphia, the Committee on Public Property and Public Works, to which is referred Bill number 150233, entitled, An Ordinance Authorizing the Director of the Free Library of Philadelphia and the Commissioner of Public Property to execute a sublease or other agreement with the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development, subject to a master lease between Paid and Roden Market Partners, under which the city would occupy space in the building located at 2000 Hamilton Street. And Bill number 150367, entitled, An Ordinance Authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to convey to the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development all or part of a parcel of land bounded by West Venango Street, Germantown Avenue, West Tioga Street, and North Watts Street for further conveyance. And Bill number 150371, entitled, An Ordinance Authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to convey to the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development all or part of a parcel or parcels of land and any improvements thereon located at 2459 through 77 Kensington Avenue for further conveyance. And Bill number 150406, entitled, An Ordinance Authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to purchase from 7777 Philadelphia, PA, Loan Associates, a certain tract of land together with the improvements thereon, commonly known as 7777R State Road. And Bill number 150415, entitled, An Ordinance Authorizing the Department of Public Property to acquire an approximately .80 acre property consisting of a portion of the elevated rail line known as the Viaduct, located between North Broad Street, the north side of Noble Street, 11th Street, and the south side of Callowhill Street, together with all improvements thereon and associated easements, and to lease a portion of the property to the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority. Respectfully reports that it has considered and amended the same and returns the attached bills to council with a favorable recommendation.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Heenan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading of this day on the bills just read into the record.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly seconded that the rules of council be suspended this day so as to permit first reading of bills number 150233, 150367, 150371, 150406, and 150415. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. These bills will be placed on our first reading calendar today. That concludes our reports from committee, and the next order of business is consideration of the calendar. I note that the bills just reported from committee with the suspension of the rules have been deemed to have had a first reading. These bills will be placed on our second reading and final passage calendar at our next session. Mr. Decker, please read any other bills on the first reading calendar today.
Bill number 150354, entitled, An Ordinance Amending Chapter 12, 1000 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled, Parking Meter Regulations and Penalties, to specify the fee for parking meter payments made through mobile payment systems, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you. The chair agrees, and this bill will be placed on our second reading and final passage calendar at our next session of council. Chair now recognizes Councilman Jones for a motion concerning the bills on the second reading and final passage calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended to permit the use of a consent agenda to consider the following bills on second reading and final passage calendars. Numbers 150216, 130905, 140644, 150214, 150218, 150237, 150238, 150268, 150277, 150278, 150279, 150280, 150281, 150283, 150287, 150353, and 150372.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly seconded that the rules of council be suspended so to permit the use of a consent agenda to consider the bills just read by Councilman Jones. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. The motion carries, and we will consider the consent agenda shortly. Chair again recognizes Councilman Jones for the purpose of calling up bills and resolutions on the regular second reading and final passage calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President. In addition to the bills being considered for the consent agenda, the following resolutions and bills are being called up from the regular second reading and final passage calendars today. Numbers 150-419, 150-446, 150-447, 150-448, 150-449, 150-453, and 150-225. All other bills and resolutions are being held.
Thank you. Before considering our calendar today, we will have our public comment session. The public comment session will go as follows. If you are interested in testifying on a bill or resolution that is on the final passage calendar today, we'd ask, if you have not already done so, sign up at the table to my left. When your name is called, you will go to the podium in the middle of the council chambers. There's a device. When the light turns green, it is your time to speak. When the light turns yellow, we ask that you please, you have 30 seconds to conclude your remarks, and when the light turns red, we'd ask that you please conclude your remarks. You will be given 3 minutes to testify on a bill or resolution on a final passage calendar today. Mr. Decker, would you please call the name of the first witness?
Tamara Anderson. Commenting on 150-214.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Tamara Anderson, and I very much would like to talk about the ordinance that's being amended by Councilmember Sanchez as far as for the red light violations. So I'm really excited that there is an ordinance about safety, especially in light of what's happening in our city today as far as non-safety. And I would like to segue this into the fact that we don't want to give our children a red light violation when it comes to funding. We want to make sure that they're able to get the $105 million from City Council so that we can continue the safety and continue the work that the community and partnership spoke about earlier, because those partnerships, those mutual partnerships that deal with poverty, that adds to the safety of children and to the safety of our citizens, and to all the good work that they talked about that happens in UPenn and happens in West Philly and happens in South Philly, can only happen if it's on a foundation that already has funding. If it doesn't have that additional funding, those mutual partnerships fall to the wayside and they become counterproductive, because it's like filling a black hole that can never be filled. And so we want to make sure that we give a green light when it comes to funding, especially when council's making their decisions for this year for their $105 million. Thank you.
Alan Irving. Commenting on 150-225 and 150-216.
Good morning.
Good morning. Members of council, Mr. President, I welcome and thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of Councilwoman Blondell Reynolds Brown's Bill 150216 to make the City Office of LGBT Affairs a permanent office of city government by amending the city's charter. As a member myself of the transgender community and a professor of social policy and social philosophy at the University of Pennsylvania, I want to put forward 3 brief arguments why I consider this bill crucial to the civic and civil life of the city. The first argument is one for education. This past semester, I developed and taught a graduate course, the first of its kind, called LGBT Communities and Social Policy at the School of Social Policy and Practice, that's social work, at Penn. 25 master's students, Masters of Social Work students, took the course, demonstrating the pronounced interests of master's social work students in knowing more about LGBT communities and the role of advocacy in advancing the social and civil rights of the LGBT population. In fact, several students, fine students, I should say, from the class are here to lend their enthusiastic support, Kate Revick and Sam Sperling. Without question, though, the highlight of the semester was the visit of Nellie Fitzpatrick who's the current director of the office, to the class, who spoke and dialogued with the students for 2.5 hours on the work of the office and her ideas for future initiatives, including working with the transgender prison population. She was inspiring, a model public policy maker for the students, showing policy in action. The School of Social Policy and Practice at the university now has a valuable educational connection with the city's LGBT Affairs Office, one that we will continue to unconditionally build on. Without the proposed amendment or proposed permanent office, our educational mission for our students and other students at all levels across the city would be critically attenuated. My second argument is one for pluralism. The proposed permanent office of LGBT Affairs is crucial in promoting, in my view, an ethic of pluralism in Philadelphia's civic life, and as a consequence, creating a more livable and just city for the LGBT community. We talk about the social factor of diversity all the time, but we need to go further and recognize that pluralism is not diversity alone, but a continuous and vigorous engagement with diversity. Pluralism is not just tolerance, but the active ongoing pursuit of understanding across lines of difference. Pluralism requires dialogue, conversation, and encounter. It involves speaking and listening. It does not mean everyone at the table will agree, but it does mean all voices are at the table in committed conversation. And just quickly, since I see this light is flashed on, I think I've only spoken for 2 minutes though, inclusivity. And this is, I think, crucial to the development of a viable and flourishing city of Philadelphia in the 21st century, to promote inclusivity, and I believe that this office will foster that in abundance. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, sir.
Brad Wilson.
Morning.
Hello, everybody. I'm Brad Wilson. I'm here representing the reentry program. All right, I don't know the numbers. Don't jump on me. But what I came up to say is, one, the federal government gives every business a $3,500 tax deduction to hire felons. We're also stuck. I've been stuck in the homeless system for 4 years. I can't get out. Why? Nobody wants to hire me because I'm a felon. All right. And the biggest problem is what small felon programs there are. To hire them are all black. They won't hire a white guy. It's reverse discrimination compared to when you and I were kids. I've even got a forklift license. They want to put black guys at a forklift instead of me. I can't get anything. But if you really want to lower crime, I mean, it's a point where, what do we got to do? Go back to crime? Killing, raping, robbing? Is that what you all want to see? Raise your hand. How many want to see someone go back to crime? I don't see no hands. That's cool. Guys, you really need to take the Reentry Act seriously and get that moving a lot more. Be like Peter Gabriel. Put it down with a sledgehammer, all right? And that's how we need to go, because otherwise, a homeless system, we're all overpacked. A lot of people can't stay in the homeless system too long, and that's the bottom line. We can't get out. How are we supposed to get moving? You really need to push the Reentry Act to get us moving, get us working. There's a lot of jobs here in Philadelphia. There's trash all over the streets. Center City District cleanup, but they can't do enough. We really need to push that act and get us working. And if you want to cut down crime, get us working. We're too tired to go out and commit a crime now. I don't see anyone wanting a crime to happen again. So how about it, guys? Let's really put down the Reentry Act and get us back to working. All right? Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your testimony.
There are no other speakers on the public comment list, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Decker. We continue our calendar. Today's consent agenda, I'd ask Mr. Decker to read the titles of all the bills on the consent agenda. After each title is read, any member may object to the inclusion of the bill on the consent agenda. Upon such an objection, and without debate, the bill will be immediately removed from the consent agenda and placed on our regular final passes calendar. Mr. Decker will now read the titles of the bills on the consent agenda.
Bill number 150216, entitled an ordinance providing for the submission of the qualified electors of the City of Philadelphia of an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter establishing and defining the responsibilities of the Office of Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Affairs, fixing the date of a special election for such purpose, prescribing the form of ballot questions to be voted on. And Bill number 130905, entitled an ordinance establishing a one-way regulation on East Duval Street from Mansfield Avenue to Stenton Avenue westbound. And Bill number 140644, entitled an ordinance amending Section 9203 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Street Vendors, by providing for the inspection and regulation of mobile food vehicles that use propane and other combustible fuel. And Bill number 150214, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 12, 3000 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Use of an Automated Red Light Enforcement System to Prevent Red Light Violations, by authorizing the installation of red light enforcement systems at the intersection of 2nd Street and Erie Avenue. And Bill number 150218, entitled an ordinance amending Section 9204 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Sidewalk Vendors in Center City, by eliminating previously designated vendor locations in Center City. And Bill number 150237, entitled an ordinance authorizing Jim Williamson to install, own, and maintain an open-air sidewalk cafe at 4249 Ridge Avenue. And Bill number 150238, entitled an ordinance authorizing Alvin Chapon to install, own, and maintain an open-air sidewalk cafe at 342 through 44 Queen Street. And Bill number 150268, entitled an ordinance authorizing Pradeep Kuthiala, owner and operator of the newsstand located at 908 East Levick Street, to construct, use, and maintain conduits in, under, and across 908 East Levick Street. And Bill number 150277, entitled an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of 57th Street and Lansdowne Avenue. And Bill number 150278, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 12, 3000 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Use of an Automated Red Light Enforcement System to Prevent Red Light Violations, by authorizing the installation of red light enforcement systems at the intersection of Belmont and Parkside Avenues. And Bill number 150279, entitled an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of Smick Street and Fountain Street. And Bill number 150280, entitled an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of Parkside Avenue and 52nd Street. And Bill number 150281, entitled an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of Rexford Road and 52nd Street. And Bill number 150283, entitled an ordinance establishing a parking regulation on 6th Street, both sides Christian Street to Carpenter Street. And Bill number 150287, entitled an ordinance amending Title 12 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Traffic Code, to provide for the removal of inoperable abandoned bicycles located within the public right-of-way. And Bill number 150353, entitled an ordinance amending Section 11301 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Street Improvements, to revise the method by which the Board of Surveyors may approve supplemental plans relocating the curb lines. And Bill number 150372, entitled an ordinance amending Section 9213 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Farmers Markets, by adding and amending the permissible locations, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Decker. These bills having been read on 2 different days, the question for each bill now is, shall the bills pass finally? Mr. Decker shall call the roll, and upon being called, each council member shall vote either aye on each of the bills, nay on each of the bills, or indicate those bills for which the member is voting aye or nay. Mr. Decker?
Councilwoman Bass? Councilwoman Blackwell? Councilman Good? Councilman Greenlee? Councilman Heenan? Councilman Jones? Councilman Nielsen? Councilman O'Brien? Councilman O'Neill? Councilman O? Councilwoman Coronel Sanchez? Councilwoman Reynolds Brown? Councilman Squilla? Councilwoman Tasco? Council President Clark.
Aye on all bills. A majority of all members having voted in the affirmative for each of the bills on the consent agenda are passed. Thank you very much. We will now consider the resolutions and bills on the regular second reading and final passage calendar. Mr. Decker, would you please read the title of Resolution 150-4119?
A resolution also naming Martins Mill Road between Longshore Avenue and North Street as Corporal Michael J. Crescenz MOH Road, to honor the memory of Corporal Michael J. Crescenz MOH and to recognize his life and memorialize his lasting legacy.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Tasco.
Move for the adoption.
Second. Thank you. Moved and properly second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it. Resolution 150-419 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 150-446.
A resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the American Street Industrial Corridor urban renewal area identified by house number and street address as 1355 through 59 Germantown Avenue.
Chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. And Resolution 150446 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 150447.
A resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority without consideration deeds conveying conditional fees simple title to city on lots of pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon situated in the 28th, 29th, and 37th wards of the city of Philadelphia.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the adoption of the resolution.
Wait, second? Second. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it. And Resolution 150447 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 150448.
A resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority without consideration deeds conveying conditional fees simple title to serve city on lots of pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon situated in the 49th ward of the city of Philadelphia.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Tasco.
President, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it. And Resolution 150448 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 150449.
A resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and or renewal of a portion of the Point Breeze urban renewal area identified by house number and street address as 1606 through 10 South 20th Street.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Taskforce for a motion.
Move for the adoption of the resolution.
Been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it. And Resolution 150449 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 150453.
A resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority without consideration deeds conveying conditional fees simple title to serve city on lots of pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon situated in the 12th ward of the city of Philadelphia.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Move for the adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it. And Resolution 150453. Yes, sir. And again, 150453 is adopted. Mr. Decker, please read the title of 150225.
A resolution proposing an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter to provide for the creation of an Office of Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Affairs, to provide for the powers and duties of such office, and to otherwise provide for the incorporation of the office into the city government.
Thank you. 150225 is a charter amendment. It will require a two-thirds vote. And the chair recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Mr. President, I move for the adoption.
And we will have a roll call. Thank you. It's been moved and properly second. Mr. Decker, call a roll.
Councilwoman Bass, Councilwoman Blackwell, Councilman Good, Councilman Greenlee, Councilman Heenan, Councilman Jones, Councilman Nielsen, Councilman O'Brien, Councilman O'Neill, Councilman O, Councilwoman Corona Sanchez, Councilwoman Reynolds Brown, Councilman Squilla, Councilwoman Tasco, Council President Clark.
Aye, the ayes are 15, the nays are 0, and the resolution is adopted. And that concludes the regular council. All bills were on the consent agenda. So, Mr. Decker, do you have any additional resolutions?
A resolution recognizing and honoring that the 2015 Philippine Independence Week celebration will be from June 6th through June 20th, introduced by Councilman O.
Who? Councilman O? Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution remembering and honoring the men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice while serving in the U.S. military service in observance of Memorial Day 2015 in Philadelphia, introduced by Councilman O.
Chair again recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
There are no other resolutions on the final passage calendar, Mr. President.
And thank you very much. We will ask for any speeches on the part of the minority, and the chair again recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much, Council President. Today, I'd like to just point out two contributions made by Philadelphia businesses, one being a big business, the other one being a small business. This week is Armed Forces Week, and Comcast, the city's largest employer, is doing its part by announcing that it plans to hire 10,000 reservists, veterans, and their spouses or domestic partners between now and 2017. Since 2012, they've hired 4,200 veterans who work in the company already, and there's an estimated 1 million active duty service members that will separate from the service by 2017. And so I really appreciate Comcast's commitment to hiring our veterans and military service members. Another business, much smaller, is Penn Center Beauty Supply down in the concourse. And yesterday, Mr. Na, the owner of the business, and I went to McCall Elementary, where we were able to deliver 26 laptop computers for the kids at that school, and they were very excited. His contribution of $5,000 went a long way in getting these, it was stretched to get 26 computers that are great laptop computers. But this is the second time he's done it. Last year, he bought supplies for Beige Martin, including 10 light bulbs, each costing $250, so that the whiteboards could be used at that school. In these challenging times, where there's a lot of responsibilities upon us to ensure better quality education and ensure that we have a consistent funding formula, people like Mr. Na, who just steps up out of nowhere and consistently provides opportunities to provide resources to our schools, are both inspiring and encouraging. And I think the kids really appreciate someone like him, who they may not get to talk to. He doesn't speak much English. He's a local business guy, very shy, not looking for any recognition, but I really insisted that he get recognition so that the kids and the parents and the teacher would understand that some people don't look like they care, but they do care. And also as a point of encouragement that other small business people and community folks in our neighborhoods can find little ways that will be very impactful in helping our school kids. So I'd like to congratulate both the big and small business folks in Philadelphia that add to our community and make Philadelphia a better place to live. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any speeches on the part of the majority? Chair recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Welcome.
We neglected to give you our 5th newsletter on Ebola, so we pass it out along with our 6th one, because as you know, it's all but done in Liberia. So we just like to keep you up to date. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. There being no additional speeches, Chair recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that council stand adjourned until Thursday, May 21st at 2015 at 10 a.m.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded. Council stand adjourned until Thursday, May 21st, 2015, 10 a.m. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Thank you all very much.